The search ended without a recovery. 2 rangers did not return. Their case was closed as missing persons. A handheld radio remained. It was found powered down, fully charged, inside a pack. Lamar Valley, Yellowstone National Park. The transmission log showed activity after the station was secured. 4 seconds. No audio. Sent on a civilian emergency channel. The room was locked. The radios were not handled. No staff were present. The timestamp did not align with any patrol. The entry did not match any procedure. There was no receiving station. The log records the signal. The report offers no source. The record ends there. The Lamar Valley sits in the northeast corner of Yellowstone National Park, nearly 30 miles from the nearest paved road. It's a wide basin carved by glaciers, rimmed by ridges of lodgepole pine and Douglas fir that climb into the Absaroka Range. The valley floor is open grassland, broken only by the bends of the Lamar River and scattered groves of cottonwood. In winter, temperatures drop to 20 below zero. In summer, the nights are short and the air is thin. Elevation here runs between 6,000 and 7,000 feet. Cell service doesn't exist. Radio communication depends on line of sight and weather conditions. The ranger station at Lamar Valley operates year-round with a rotating staff of 4. Patrols cover roughly 40 square miles of backcountry trail, most of it accessible only on foot or horseback. It's remote work, quiet work, and in the summer of 1998, it became the center of a search operation that would last 11 days and involve more than 60 personnel. The incident began on the night of August 14th. 2 rangers, assigned to a routine overnight patrol, failed to return at their scheduled check-in time the following morning. Their names were Michael Tarrin and Ben Coulter. Both were experienced. Both had worked the Lamar district for more than 3 years. The patrol route they had been assigned was a standard loop, 12 miles total. It followed the Eastern Ridge Trail to Cache Creek, then looped back along the valley floor. Average completion time was 6 to 8 hours, depending on weather and trail conditions. They left the station at 19:30 on August 14th. Clear skies, temperature 62 degrees, no reported hazards on the trail. Their last radio check-in came at 21:47 that same evening. The message was brief. Location confirmed. No issues. Continuing south along the ridge, that was the last communication received. When they didn't return by 08 am the next morning, the station initiated standard delayed return protocol. A second team was dispatched to retrace the patrol route. By 11:30, that team had reached the trailhead parking area where Tarrin and Coulter had left their vehicle. What they found there didn't match any scenario they'd been trained for. Both rangers' backpacks were sitting upright next to the vehicle, neatly placed, side by side. Their radios were inside the packs, fully charged, functional. Their firearms, issued sidearms, stored in regulation holsters, were also in the packs. So were their flashlights, first aid kits, water bottles, and food supplies. Nothing appeared damaged, nothing was missing. The only items not accounted for were the clothes they had been wearing and their boots. A full search was launched that afternoon. Ground teams, helicopters, and search dogs were brought in from surrounding districts. The entire patrol loop was covered within 48 hours. No trace of either ranger was found on the trail itself. No signs of struggle, no blood, no torn fabric, no disturbed ground. On August 17th, 3 days into the search, a canine unit picked up a scent near the northern edge of the valley, roughly 2 miles off the patrol route. The dog led them into a dense section of forest where the canopy was thick enough to block most of the daylight. There, hanging from a low branch about 7 feet off the ground, they found a uniform shirt. It belonged to Michael Tarrin. The shirt was buttoned, sleeves rolled to the elbows. No tears, no stains. It had been placed over the branch carefully, almost deliberately, as if someone had hung it there to dry. 50 feet deeper into the trees, they found a second shirt. Ben Coulter's. Positioned the same way. No other clothing was recovered. The search continued for 8 more days. Coverage expanded to a 15-mile radius. Divers checked the river. Climbers searched the ridgeline cliffs. Nothing else was found. On August 25th, the active search was suspended. The case was classified as missing persons, cause unknown. No evidence of foul play, no evidence of wildlife encounter, no evidence of medical emergency or environmental exposure. The official report, filed with the National Park Service in October of that year, runs 41 pages. It contains witness statements, search maps, radio logs, and weather data. It does not contain a conclusion. What it does contain is a separate section, added as an appendix 3 months after the report was filed. That section includes 2 documents recovered from the ranger station's logbook during a routine inventory in November. The first document is a standard patrol log entry, written by Michael Tarrin on the evening of August 13th. The second is a handwritten note, undated, found tucked inside the back cover of the same logbook. Both were submitted into the case file without comment. They've been part of the archived record ever since. What follows is a transcription of those documents presented here exactly as they were recorded. No edits, no interpretation, just the words as they were written. Damned. August 13th, 1998, 22:15. Finished evening patrol with Coulter. Ridge Trail to Soda Butte Creek and back. Standard loop, no incidents. Weather clear, trail conditions good. Saw a small herd of bison near the northwest meadow, maybe 15 head. Couple of elk on the ridge at sunset. Radio check at 21:30, went through clean, no static. We made good time. Back at the station by 22 Bispal. Coulter mentioned he thought he heard something moving parallel to us on the way back, maybe 100 yards into the tree line. We stopped and listened for a few minutes, but didn't hear it again. Probably just an elk, no cause for concern. Everything normal, logs updated, gear restocked, ready for tomorrow's night patrol. August 14th, 1998, Euro 340. Can't sleep. Keep thinking about what Coulter said yesterday, about the sound in the trees. I didn't say anything at the time, but I heard it too. It wasn't an elk. Elk don't move like that. They crash through brush, they snap branches. This was steady, methodical, like it was matching our pace exactly. We stopped 3 times on that trail. Each time we stopped, it stopped. I didn't want to say anything because it sounded paranoid. And maybe it is, but when we got back last night, I tested our radios, both of them. Full battery, full signal. I keyed the mic and listened. There was something in the static. Not interference, not feedback. It sounded like breathing. Slow, rhythmic. I turned the radio off and turned it back on. Gone. I didn't mention it to Coulter. We're heading out again tonight for the Ridge Patrol. I'm sure it's nothing, but I'm bringing extra batteries, just in case. The logbook contains no further entries written by Michael Tarrin. The next page is blank, but tucked into the binding, folded twice and pressed flat, was a second piece of paper. It was written in different handwriting, smaller, less steady. The ink was smudged in places, as if the writer's hand had been shaking. It's dated August 14th, but no time is listed. August 14th, 1998. No time given. This is Ben Coulter. I'm writing this because Tarrin won't talk about it. We're supposed to head out in 4 hours, and he's acting like nothing happened last night. But something did happen. When we tested the radios after our patrol, I heard it too, that sound in the static. He didn't say anything, so I didn't either. But this morning, when I went to recharge the handhelds, both of them were already at full battery. I know I turned them off last night. I always turn them off. But when I picked them up this morning, they were on. Both of them. The volume was turned all the way down, but the power lights were green. I checked the logs. No transmissions sent. No transmissions received. Just on. I asked Tarrin if he'd used them overnight. He said no. I asked if anyone else had been in the equipment room. He said no. So I turned them off again, logged it, didn't say anything else. But an hour ago, I went back to check the battery storage. The radios were on again. I'm not writing this in the official log because I don't know what I'd say. Equipment malfunction? Maybe. But that doesn't explain what I saw when I went outside this morning. There were boot prints in the dirt outside the station, leading away from the door, heading toward the tree line. They weren't there last night. I measured them against my own boots. Same size, same tread, mine. But I didn't leave the station after we got back. I didn't walk toward the trees. I've been inside all night. That was the last written record recovered from the station, no further. Notes, no further entries. Just those 2 documents filed into the case record 3 months after the Rangers disappeared. In the years following the incident, the National Park Service conducted multiple reviews of the case. They examined every piece of evidence, every statement, every recorded detail, and they developed several working theories. The first was environmental disorientation. Lamar Valley, particularly at elevation, is known for rapid weather shifts. Fog can settle into the basin within minutes, reducing visibility to less than 10 feet. If Taryn and Coulter had become disoriented in poor conditions, it's possible they left the trail and entered terrain they couldn't navigate. Hypothermia can set in quickly at night, even in summer, especially above 6,000 feet. One documented effect of severe hypothermia is paradoxical undressing. As body temperature drops, victims often remove their clothing, believing they're overheating. It's a well-known phenomenon. It's been recorded in survival literature for decades. This could explain why their gear was left behind, why their clothing was found hung in the trees. It's a rational explanation. And it fits the evidence. The second theory involved wildlife behavior. Yellowstone is home to grizzly bears, mountain lions, and wolf packs. All three species are active at night. All three are capable of covering large distances quickly. If the rangers had encountered an animal on the trail, they may have abandoned their gear in an attempt to retreat or move faster. Some animal behaviorists have noted that certain predators will follow humans for miles without attacking, simply observing. This could explain the sensation of being paced, the sounds in the trees. It's also been documented that animals sometimes interact with human objects in unusual ways. Bears have been known to open backpacks. Foxes have carried off clothing. It's not common, but it happens. This theory also fits. The third explanation involves infrasound. Infrasound refers to sound waves below the range of human hearing, typically below 20 hertz. These waves occur naturally in certain environments. Wind moving through canyon systems, seismic activity, even the low hum of a river under specific conditions. Studies have shown that exposure to infrasound can cause feelings of unease, disorientation, and auditory hallucinations. People report hearing footsteps, breathing, voices. They report feeling watched. The Lamar Valley, with its high ridges and narrow passes, is geographically capable of producing infrasound under the right conditions. If Taryn and Coulter were exposed to these frequencies over the course of their patrol, it could explain the psychological effects they described. The feeling of being followed, the sounds and the static. It's a documented phenomenon, and it's scientifically credible. These three theories, along with several others, were presented in the final case review, submitted in 2001. The review concluded that the disappearance was most likely the result of environmental exposure combined with psychological stress and disorientation. No evidence of foul play, no evidence of outside involvement. The case was officially closed. But there's one detail the review didn't fully address. It's mentioned briefly in a footnote on page 38 of the report. It concerns the radio transmissions. On the morning of August 15th, after Taryn and Coulter failed to return, the station supervisor conducted a full diagnostic of the communications equipment. He tested both handheld radios that had been left in the Rangers' backpacks. Both were fully functional, both held a full charge. But when he reviewed the internal transmission logs, something unusual appeared. Both radios showed a single outgoing transmission, time-stamped at 04:17 on the morning of August 14th. That's 37 minutes after the last entry in Ben Coulter's note. The transmission lasted 4 seconds. No audio was recorded. The system logged it as dead air. But the frequency it was sent on wasn't standard Park Service bandwidth. It was a civilian emergency channel, one that's monitored by search and rescue teams across the state. The supervisor ran the logs twice to confirm. Both radios had sent the same transmission. At the same time, on the same channel. 4 seconds of silence. And then, nothing. No distress call was ever received by any monitoring station in Wyoming that night. No search and rescue teams were dispatched. The transmission, whatever it was, never reached anyone. When investigators asked the station staff if anyone had used the radios that morning, every person on duty said no. The equipment room had been locked. The radios had been inside the Rangers' packs. No one had touched them. There's no clear explanation for this in the case file. The review noted it as a possible equipment error, an automatic malfunction, a false log entry caused by electrical interference, All of those are possible, but the fact remains: 2 radios, same time, same channel, same 4-second transmission, sent from inside a locked room by no one. The Lamar Valley station is still operational. Patrols still cover the same trails. Rangers still carry the same equipment. The ridge trail where Taryn and Coulter were last confirmed is still open to the public. Nothing about the area has changed, but the logbook from 1998 is no longer kept at the station. It was transferred to the National Park Service archives in Denver in 2002. It sits in a storage facility now, filed under incident documentation, accessible to researchers, accessible to investigators. But no one's requested it in over a decade. The case is closed, the search is over, the valley is quiet again. But every year, on the night of August 14th, rangers stationed at Lamar Valley conduct a memorial patrol. They follow the same route Taryn and Coulter took. They carry the same gear, and they maintain radio silence. It's not an official protocol, it's just something they do. Because in a place that remote, in a job that isolated, you remember the ones who didn't come back, not because of what happened to them, but because of what they left behind. 2 backpacks, 2 radios, 2 shirts hung carefully in the trees, and 4 seconds of silence that no one ever heard. The evidence suggests exposure, disorientation, hypothermia. The science supports it, the facts allow for it. But the absence suggests something else. Not an answer, just a question that doesn't go away. The Lamar Valley file is closed, but the archive remains open. Subscribe to access the next entry.